Hi, we're back. Well, we're going to do bronzers now, and these are really nice. I love bronzer because if you can tell right now, my neck's a little bit darker than my face, so in the summer months, I tend to want to darken my shade. However, I stick with my natural shade, and I gradually bring my shade level up with bronzer. It's a more natural looking way of doing it. I also switch up to the large rounded brush, and just so you can see the comparison, here's the blush brush next to it. So you can see that there's definitely a difference between the two sizes, okay? So this is small rounded, this is the large rounded. Now, what I typically do is, again, I've got my minerals here. I put the bronzer on a little palette here, and I basically pounce the brush into it, dispersing it across the plate, because I want to get it well dispersed into the bristles. You don't want to have a big glop of it centered anywhere. You want it well worked in. So you can see now in the bristles, very little you can see, but trust me, there's bronzer in there. And then bronzer, a very good bronzer formula, should float across the skin. Another reason also not use oily products or to use any kind of an oily type of a moisturizer over the top, you know, where you would spritz with that, because there are some moisturizing sprays out there that have excessive oils in them, even silicones. That could tend to ruin the look. So I tend to steer away from spritzing if I know I'm going to use bronzer. So wait to spritz after your mineral, do your mineral veil, then bronzer, then spritz. Okay, so basically I'm going to go like this, and I start in the larger area like my forehead, because I don't want it to get too gloppy anywhere, like down the bridge of my nose or on my chin. When you go in smaller areas, when you start with a bronzer, if you start here, you'll see that it gets too dark too quickly. When you have a nice area that you can disperse it and float it across, then the residual can move down the face and you won't get too heavy in those areas. So that's the best way to do bronzer. And I think I could go a little bit darker. So I'm going to add a little more. Usually I do it in about 2 layers. 2 layers is really good for me. And I've pretty much stayed out of the sun this year. Even though I've gotten some natural color like gardening and things like that, I have definitely kept my face out of the sun. So anyway, so again I go here, go down the bridge, go down my chin, jawline. Definitely blend into your neckline. Okay, the level of my shade is coming up to just about where I want it. I'm also using Copper Rose bronzer, that's my shade, because I tend to get really yellow in the winter, and then in the summer, for some reason, I get like a pinky red brown color. So we have it in golden bronze, but if I wore golden bronze, it would make me look too sallow. So that's why we have a golden rose, a copper rose, then we have sunny rose for very fair women that just want a nice feminine, pretty glow to their face. So it just gives them a hint of color, but it doesn't change them to looking brown or tanned or anything like that. I think that's about the level I want to go. Plus, I also realize that when I spritz, that's going to deepen the bronzer. Also, a little tip, some bronzers out there have shimmer in them, high shimmer, or even some sparkle. Even our bronzers have a little bit of shimmer in them because you want depth on the face. You don't want your face to look flat or muddy. So we incorporate shimmer into our bronzers as well. But if you're not crazy about the dewy glow or the shimmer you might get, spritzing will reduce that. It literally will make the mica press against the skin because mica is in flat platelets. So when it's moisturized, it just goes flat and they act like tiny little mirrors on your face reflecting back light. And that's how you get that really nice, healthy, sun-kissed glow. And I'm doing a blog on that too, so you'd want to watch for that one, explaining how micas work. So you just kind of let that set up. Don't apply a brush to it. Just let your face dry while you're waiting. And then after it dries, you can pretty much go over it again with your flat top. Or you could do your bronzer brush, depending on what your preference. But I tend to like to go over it with my flat top again. I'm not going to do it now because you know, I'm letting the moisture droplets kind of set up on my makeup. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Bronzer, really easy to do. Just let it float. Make sure it goes on over a mineral veil rather than under it, because the mineral veil will just absorb any other oily areas if you have excessively oily T-zone, or if you went a little heavy on the moisturizer. It just will create a better canvas for that bronzer to float over your face, and that's important. It must float, otherwise you get that muddy, glopped look. Okay, so our next tutorial will be on eyeshadows, and I'll show you 2 shades that I like to wear in the summer. And I like to blend things, a little bit with lip color and blush. I kind of like tie it all together. And and the other thing is, make sure that when you do apply bronzer, try not to go darker than your chest or neck, especially on mature ladies. The darker the shade, the older you'll look. If you keep your face lighter than your neck, not a lot lighter, you don't want to look funny by it being 2 shades lighter, but you just want to bring it up to the level where it's just about there or just slightly lighter. It will keep you looking youthful, and that's what we all want, especially as we mature. So that's it. That's the tips for the bronzer, and that's how you apply it, and we'll see you at the eyeshadow tutorial. Bye.